Reimagining Success, episode 352. And my guest today is the founder of the Social Society. And she's sharing how she's redefining community impact, not just through charity work, but by designing a business model that's really rooted in values, boundaries, and real world results. We talk about what it takes to stay true to your vision, why consistency matters more than quick wins, and how to build success on your own terms, even when the world says otherwise. Welcome to Reimagining Success, the podcast that helps you build a profitable business as an independent expert, one that works for you and your lifestyle. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg, former corporate insider turned business mentor, executive coach, and mum of two. Whether you're a solopreneur, a coach, speaker, consultant, I'm here to guide you in creating a business that gives you freedom, flexibility, and the fulfillment you're looking for. Ready to redefine success and build a business that you love? Let's get started. Okay, hello everyone and welcome to this month's interview. And I'm here with Toni Finnimore, who I don't know very well, so I'm as excited as you all are, I hope, to dig into her story. And Toni, as ever, I'm going to hand right over to you and ask you to introduce yourself as only you can, and then we'll dig into your story and what it is you do.
Amazing, thank you. And thanks for having me as well. It's great to be here. So I'm the founder of an organisation called the Social Society, and we're a volunteer and events community that effectively, top line, makes local volunteering easy. And we do that by the human-to-human matchmaking, I guess. We're a little bit like the Bumble, Tinder or Hinge of charity matchmaking, and we bring both local people, employees and students of late and charities into our community and matchmake them based on their skills, their hobbies, their passions and a real-time need for the charity and local community. The event side of our work is predominantly festival team days. So we bring anything from 50 to 500 people into a field from businesses, and we pay local charities to come and ask for help. So we cherry pick the skills and we make sure we support charities in a way that's actually meaningful rather than guesswork.
Love that. Important work. How did you end up there? Was this sort of a very clear path laid out after you finished school, or what have been kind of the little pivots and twists and turns along the way?
Yeah, there was a slightly bumpy period after school, I would imagine, when my poor parents thought, what is she going to end up doing? But actually, looking back now, there was a very clear route, I guess. Started in NHS support work, went into advocacy, representing people's rights and wishes and beliefs, then went into managing those services for charities and community provision. So mental health, end of life, learning disability services. When I was in it, I was very much like, wow, where is this going? This is hard. Like, this is hard work, especially in communities on ground level. But yeah, looking back now, there was a very clear reason why I'm here today, I guess.
Yeah, something like connecting the dots backwards, as Steve Jobs famously said. I suppose going back to that beginning, it sounds like you've always done meaningful work, but I guess in a different container or whatever you want to call it. But how has your view of success, both for you personally in your career, but also I suppose more broadly for the charities you work with, shifted since when you first started to where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's hugely different. I look back at some of my career, especially in charity and managing community provisions, and it was all day. It was zero boundaries. It was give to the point of burnout constantly. You know, huge national teams, lots and lots of stress and crisis. Unfortunately, I think charities are still in that position because they're still plugging local gaps all over the UK. But yeah, it was a pretty bleak time. And when I was in it, I was thinking, oh wow, this is really tough. But now, way more boundaried. Freedom, flexibility, and the sort of ability to make a real impact is all I really focus on. So I'm lots better at that now.
That's so interesting because I've worked a lot with people who have left corporate, as I call it. And it tends to be, if you think about the Ikigai, which you may be familiar with sort of the things that you love doing and the things you're good at and making money and things that the world needs, we tend to be on the kind of good at making money side of things. And then we want to move more towards making a bigger difference, making an impact, meaning. But and I recently wrote an article actually about sort of how passion for what you do can actually lead to burnout, right? Because you do blur those boundaries. And I'd imagine it's the same when you're doing really meaningful work. It's even harder to shut your laptop down, because I see colleagues, and I'm not going to name their particular industries, but where you can easily go, that work isn't making a difference, but your work actually can make a difference. So yeah, that's a really interesting tension of I need to understand that if I burn out, I can't help anyone. I can't help my family, let alone the people who I'm trying to help in this organization.
100%. And it is a tricky one, especially when you're working closely with organizations that are grassroots on the ground floor, dealing with the crisis on a day-to-day basis, because you want to step up and do more and help, in a way that's going to make a much wider impact for them and the people that they support. But ultimately, you can only do so much. And so by having that time and being boundaried and flexible, you can actually support far more. And I think that Ikigai thing, there's still a narrative, I think, that you can't have purpose and profit at the same time. And I think it's a little rubbish, to be honest. I think you absolutely can, but that's also a journey that I've been on. Yeah.
I'm with you on this, but let's dig into that, because I think that's true, again, both from the individual's perspective. I mean, I think my Instagram bio, which constantly changes, something around more income and more freedom and more purpose, right, without the hustle. And absolutely, I think there's a growing group of us who believe that that's possible in organizations too, whether it's the B Corp movement, which I've seen be criticized recently, but it's still moving in the right direction, right? Or, the triple bottom line and all these thoughts. So tell us more about that then. How are you thinking now in terms of the purpose and profit?
I think there's a in terms of clarity, I was doing some stuff on this morning just around the clarity of your offer and not trying to be everything to everyone. The B Corp movement is an interesting one. They are changing, but they're changing their they're like framework, their standards, their accountability standards, I guess what you would call them, to be more rigorous. So I think I'm actually going through mine at the moment, and I think it's a really good way to hold yourself accountable and also work and collaborate with people that are in the same space looking to do good. Yeah.
And have you had any wobbles along the way? What sort of the dreaded imposter syndrome we always talk about, or like, how can I possibly make this work? How can I do this and also make a living? And so talk us through kind of the inner workings of your mind during this time.
Every week. Every single week. No, it's less and less so now, but it is, I think, in the spirit of being open and honest, it's an absolute journey. It's a journey, and it's not a linear path. It's a very much like a roller coaster, but the highs far outweigh the lows. The impact that you can make, the work that we do, and the you can see it. You can see not just in the field with the charities that have received the help, but the longer term impact and the connections and the support on the ground floor is worth it.
And if you no, please go ahead.
Just going to say, just pretty similar along those lines, really.
Well, I was going to say, building on that, if you could sort of let us have a peek behind the curtain, I suppose, of the business model. How do you navigate that tension of making money for your own sake and for the sake of, business and team members and so on, and then also, obviously, the really important work that you're doing? What does your business model look like?
Yeah, sure. So it's twofold, I guess. So it's a subscription-based model. So you have lots of volunteer skills platforms that are very plug and play, that will plug into HR pieces of tech for businesses up and down the UK and much further afield. So it's a per employee cost for the subscription base. And effectively what we do is we take the legwork out of it for the organizations, and we lead on their employee volunteering. We give them marketing collateral, report on their social impact. So that's one revenue stream. And then the festival team days are another. So if organizations, some we do every quarter, so they'll get their teams together every quarter to have a strategy day, and they want to do good on the second day. So yeah, we'll lead and facilitate that, and there's a financial model or revenue stream in that as well.
Nice. And what kind of companies do you work with? Do you have a particular focus there, or anyone who wants to organize those team days?
Yeah, it's sector agnostic, really. It's really interesting. We've had tech, we've had digital, we've had we work with Trusted House Sitters at the moment, which is a pet sitting company. It's really varied. But just anybody that genuinely wants to make a difference, I think. I still get lots of emails saying, can you drive us 6 hours out of Boreham Wood to just paint a shed or dig an allotment? And I'm like, no, you can't solve the problem. And so we're just very clear about, you need to actually want to make a real difference.
Nice. So you have that filter in terms of making sure that you're working with the right partners.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
And then you as the founder, we talked briefly before we started recording about public speaking and TED Talks and that kind of thing. How do you see kind of your personal brand building as part of your business, as well as possibly separate and kind of above and beyond any particular business you have at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's becoming more, it's more and more of a thing to build your personal brand. And I never set out to actually do
Mm.
that. Just kind of, I'm not a fan of social media, if I'm
Hmm.
honest. And I'm really not, especially not Instagram. And I didn't used to be a fan of LinkedIn. But the minute I switched from this is what I should post to just
Mm.
me, which is very my language, chisel and nizzle. There's a lot of just, I say it how it is. I've started sort of growing that brand. Yeah, and it's just kind of naturally happened. And I've had opportunities to come and speak on things that I'm just passionate about and the
Mm.
work I've done. And it's been a journey to get there. It's not an easy slog.
Well, what has that journey been? Or how did you get the kind of confidence to go, no, actually, you know what, I'm not going to try to like sort
Mm.
of tiptoe around or try to play the game. I'm going to just say it as I see it, and that's going to obviously hopefully bring the right opportunities and allow you to stay in your integrity. It all makes sense on paper, but it's harder to sort of have the courage to go, hey, this is me, this is what I stand for, you know, and doesn't matter the consequences.
Yeah, 100%. And I honestly, I think for me personally, it's just been just doing it. I'm very much a doer. I'm like, actually, I'll think about that later. Let's just do it. So just post and
Mm.
also from personality wise, my whole career, like I've always been very good at unpicking injustice or support or being the voice of somebody that needs it most. Like, actually, that's not okay. I was always one of those people that would climb the ladder and knock on the hospital manager's door, disability discrimination and all of that. Absolutely useless for myself. You know, I'd go to the hairdressers and they'd shave me a rainbow coloured mohawk and I'd give them a £20 tip and roll my eyes out like a 5-year-old after because it looked terrible. It was awful at doing it for myself. I've always been very good at doing it for others. And so I just do, I guess. I started by just posting and seeing what happened. And that consistency really, really works. And I know it's a bit of a dull thing. And people are like, oh, there's no hack for this. But there really isn't. It's the tortoise, not the hare.
But
I
it's
think.
both kind of reassuring and annoying that there is no hack and there's no one answer, right? But it's also, it can take the pressure off because I think and when I hit publish on my first blog, I got 12, 13 years ago, and I was like, oh, I'm going to die. People are going to read. And of course, it was my mum and like her
Yeah.
friend who read it. So that's the good news. It's hardly anyone cares because everyone's so busy. But also, it's such a tapestry patchwork of a post here or a thing. It's not like you go viral or you do a TED talk and then boom, suddenly it all comes. It's really it's consistency, but it's ups, it's downs. It's sometimes something works, sometimes it doesn't. This feels better, this doesn't. And it's just kind of plodding along. It's not so sexy, but it's the
Yeah.
stuff that works. And in the meantime, you're running your business and
Sure.
doing, living your life, right? So it's just a small part of that.
It's the same in business, right? You know, what the social society looks like today. Yes, the core mission is the same, to change the way we give back to communities, to have these independent spaces and models to do that. But wow, it's changed so much and it changes all the time. Every project we do, every event that we do, we are, when I first started, I was offered investment and I turned it down because everyone was talking about tech and scaling and taking over the world. And actually, my core values have always been about human connection and about
Mm.
bringing together in those spaces. And I was laughed at for the subscription-based model. Like, what? You want people to subscribe and pay to volunteer, and also bringing people together in person was just not heard of. And then obviously we had COVID.
Mm.
Um, we're like, okay, maybe there's something in this. And then now we're getting lots and lots of people saying, oh, you mentioned that tech piece 7 years ago. Actually, we really want to be out in the field. We want to disconnect from this
Mm.
square that we're all day. Our teams are hybrid, they're stressed, they're burnt out. We want to be together and we want to do good in a way that's meaningful. So it's
Mm.
funny how it turns, but that consistency and sticking with your values and your beliefs and having that belief, that the end goal will work.
Yeah, and that's music to me, is both the human connection, because I think, especially now, as you said, post-COVID, but with AI and all these things, and I'm fiercely independent, working from home for the last decade, and yet, even I want to go out and meet real people, and I'm seeing the value in that. So I think that's so
Oh,
important. And then, as you said, I think I work with so many people now who get caught up in exactly that. Oh, I've got to scale for the sake of scaling, or the investors are pushing in that direction, or oh, I've got to jump on this trend now with the AI, and it's got to be and it's the again, the courage, but the patience, the sort of guts to kind of go, no, hang on, I'm staying in my lane, this is what I believe, this is what I want to do. And things will come and go, right? Trends will come and go, investors will come and go, but really, and it sounds like your vision has kind of played
oh,
out in reality, and even if it didn't, it's the right thing for you to do. So that's such an important lesson.
I think it is, and that's a really key point. Like, it's you and
Mm.
it's journey. It's no one else's. And you will have, crikey, you'll have people with opinions constantly, and I still do today. But that you have to have that utter belief in the model and that it works. Obviously it has to work to a degree, because be silly to continue down that path if not. But yeah, that's you can just keeping going, I think.
And it's also a sort of quieter version of success. It's not the rah look at me with my traditionally fancy offices and big investors and Facebook just bought my startup kind of. It's much more but I'm I know this is changing the game for charities and for individuals, and this is what's right, and that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, 100%. And by being, flexible with my time anyway, in particular, I can get up and be like, okay, well, because I live in Brighton, so I'm going to go for a seafront stroll. I'm going to process my thoughts, take a bit of a call here around this crisis and the charity, what they're dealing with. And yeah, it's really important. It's really important. And that's my success, and it's their success as well. And me being able to do that and be boundaried and have that flexibility and grow in the business slowly and sustainably gives them more of my time and support on the team.
And if we're bringing this down to a really practical level, what does a typical day look like if such a thing exists, or a typical week for you? What does sort of your working calendar look like?
I mean, this week and next is quite events heavy. So we are doing a pilot with some students at the moment because the same gap exists in students in universities and colleges. They want to give back, but in-house teams don't necessarily have the time. So we almost act as a matchmaker and a broker there. So we've got some pop-ups at the university, some social impact panels. I've got 2 of those coming up. We have got a festival team day in the pipeline. I think it's 2 weeks away. And then every other day is different, really. And I guess it's what I put in the calendar. Like I love to get up, have a stroll, do a sauna a couple of mornings a week, work late. It varies massively. In the summer, from June to October, we'll be busy because that's kind of event season for festival team days. And then, so events and community matchmaking.
And how do you have a team? How what does that look like?
Yes, we have community managers, we have city leads, and then when we come to event season, we have a whole heap of freelancers that come in and like on a rota that come in and dip in and out and help run the events as and when they can. Yeah.
And you're working fully remotely throughout the year until you meet up for events? So how do you come together?
Pretty much. Well, we're live direct from the kitchen now, and this is what I've been for the last few days. But I've got co-working spaces and things that we go into, and I'm in London actually this week as well for the Charity Film Awards. So there's a variety. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Sounds amazing. Sounds so interesting. That's what keeps it interesting, right? The variety of being out, being home in your kitchen, being alone, being with people.
100%. And the choice to do that, I guess. And the festival team days in particular are very different. Each one of them is different. It's kind of like co-produce and design them with the business. So some businesses will say, we'd really like health and wellbeing and horse box saunas and yoga and movement and breath work. And then others will say, I'm absolutely not getting in my bikini in front of Colin from accounts. I don't want that. So it's very different. So they're all really different experiences.
Love that. And I suppose I always ask if you could give one piece of advice, and I suppose thinking about someone who is maybe feeling a bit like, I'm being pushed in this direction or put, and actually I feel like that's not where I want to go. Can you offer some words of wisdom to how you can kind of stick to your vision, your values, and kind of keep going on that path?
I think, and it's a really short one, is you do you. And I say this all the time, and people are like, what does that mean? Literally, you do whatever it is that you feel, and you will have that belief. You have that belief in the end goal, and you've got all of this narrative saying, don't do it like this. And you have to be careful, I think people will offer advice, and sometimes it's really good advice, and you get support. You can't do it on your own. So I'm not saying be stubborn and don't listen. But ultimately, you know what's right. So just trust your instinct, keep going, consistency, and you do you.
Yeah, that's simple. We would get t-shirts. But I think that's the tension again, isn't it, of listening to experts on certain things where you might not know and there's gaps in your knowledge, but also understanding the really important things around the values as well as how you want to live your life and run your business, because that's the whole point, right? Why set it up if you're not doing it true to the vision that you have yourself? So,
and ultimately, you'll learn from those experts. Be experts and some won't be. I've many a time over the years, and you don't know, right? You don't know. You go, let's get the help and let's get the support, and then 6 months in, you think, actually, this isn't where I want this to be going. So it's just life lessons, which is tough. But yeah, just keep doing you and being consistent, I would say.
Love that. And Toni, where can we find out more about you? Where can we connect with you and follow the work you're doing?
Yeah, amazing. So LinkedIn is Toni Finnimore, INNIMORE, and then the socialsociety.org.uk is our website.
Perfect. Love that. And again, I didn't know you at all before this call. I've been so glad to find out both about the patterns in what you're doing, which is so different to what I've done. And yet I just really resonate with everything you're saying. And I know that the audience will too. So thank you so much for sharing that. Best of luck with the next step of your journey as well. And looking forward to staying connected.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you're ready to grow a business that actually works, one that pays you well, protects your time, and reflects what matters most, the Business Accelerator is for you. It's a 12-month journey for independent experts who want strategic growth without burnout and without compromise. Apply or join the waitlist at onestepoutside.com/accelerate, onestepoutside.com/accelerate.